ahead and hit that. Yeah. Oh, there it is. No. It's enough, I think. It's enough, I think.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Green Live Stream. I'm your host, Edie Arndell. My audio and video might be a little compromised today because I'm at the Apple Festival in Murfreesboro, Illinois. So happy to be here. So
Yay.
Scott may have to do a lot of work today. Thank you.
We'll see. But no, it's coming through good now. I know we just had a panic moment, but we are up and
It might have
running.
been somebody that was passing by.
Oh,
I'm like right the parade route. Like maybe they had like a whole lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it's gonna be interesting today.
Yeah, it's every time,
I tried to ask permission to be in the building, but nobody's here that works here. So.
Oh, okay. Well, if you get kicked out, that's okay. We'll just keep the show going and find another spot. But yeah, every week we're like, okay, we got a lot to talk about. And, I really, I didn't want to talk too much about Charlie Kirk, but you can't help just the way the country has reacted and all the iterations of the, conspiracy theories and the whole thing. And so you just gotta. And it was my idea to call it Charlie Kirk Dies by the Sword. Maybe not the best analogy because he wasn't shooting people. He wasn't. But he glorified violence. There's no doubt he glorified it. And, we here at Green Live Stream do not advocate the death of anyone by any means. But, as we'll probably see in a lot of the comments that we're going to play video of, that people like, we're not celebrating. We're not, reacting in any particular way.
I think it sums it up pretty good.
Go for it. Yeah. Go. And Hazel's here helping us produce today. Thank you, Hazel.
Thank you for coming back, Hazel.
Yay.
Thoughts on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. American rightists have been losing their fucking minds about the Charlie Kirk assassination, bawling their eyes out and babbling about civil war and how ready they are to use any amount of violence to crush the radical left. The president himself suggested that Kirk was a victim of radical left political violence and said he'll be taking action against groups and individuals who he views as responsible for it. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund and support it, Trump said in a speech after the assassination, adding that radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives, and complaining that those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst murderers and criminals.
Yeah, pause right there. Yeah, so it turns out that wasn't it at all.
Yeah, and are you playing more of the video or?
Yeah, there's a little more, but I was just going to comment on that part.
Sure.
That's not who did it.
Yeah, and again, and we'll probably play some of the Israel conspiracy theory, or at least some folks will mention it, and that's an ongoing one. And we'll there's part 2 coming here. Go ahead.
It turned out to be ultra right wing that did it.
Right, and so we'll discuss it. I didn't know.
Not right enough.
We could discuss that unless you want to play this more. Do you want to discuss or play? Because I haven't watched this. We're not hearing you, Edie. Just go ahead and play it, Hazel.
By white supremacists. There are all kinds of motives someone can have for assassinating a prominent political operative.
Edie, can you turn your volume down?
Not all of them are ideological or personal. As things stand right now, there is no evidence for any of them. I don't have much else to say on the subject other than to tie it back in to the genocide in Gaza. Charlie Kirk was an enthusiastic cheerleader and propagandist for the Gaza Holocaust, and the right-wingers who've been talking about how gruesome they find the video of his assassination are accidentally confessing that they haven't been watching the footage that's being produced by the mass atrocity they support. If they had, someone getting shot in the throat wouldn't feel like such a big deal to them. I saw more horrific things today before my morning coffee. The same day Charlie Kirk was killed, at least 72 Palestinians were killed in the genocide he supported. The Palestinians killed in Gaza on that day collectively mattered at least 72 times more than Charlie Kirk, but his death received many orders of magnitude more attention from the mainstream press and from Western political discourse. Westerners do not regard Palestinians as fully human. So on this particular day, I would like to express my sincere condolences to the families of everyone in Gaza who've been massacred by bombs and bullets every single day for the last 2 years with the facilitation of the U.S. government and cheered on by wealthy Republican pundits. I don't believe anything positive will be gained by Charlie Kirk's death. He was a mediocre man who will be easily replaced by the next mediocre man in the right-wing punditry pecking order. But he was also a piece of shit, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise just because he's dead now.
Yeah, I wanted to add my little take on what had happened. So I had heard of Charlie Kirk. I knew he was some jerk and he would do these debates. He just seemed like, a jerk. I didn't even know about Turning Point. I didn't realize he had actually done political organizing to help Trump. But anyway, so one of the things I saw, and folks, if anybody's out there, they can confirm this, because again, it was just, I see he was shot. Then I see what I thought was a tweet by Nick Fuentes saying that he'll be there on tour, to replace. And could have been fake. I don't know. And again, I knew nothing about the history there. So then now they find from they arrested the 22-year-old and supposedly his family narked on him. And of course they go for what was written in the casings of the bullets. Why is this a thing now? I don't get it. But anyway, so, gamers helped us in this and said, oh, these are all these gamer things. And then it turns out that it sounds like it's from the Groyper group. I had to look that one up. I knew that ugly green frog. I've seen him around forever, but I didn't know about it. Well, it turns out that's the Nick Fuentes group. And supposedly they've been at war for a while with Charlie Kirk's group. I had no idea. So now Nick Fuentes is like totally backtracking it. And he's like freaking out because now they're going to point to his group being the one that did it.
I swear.
Yeah. Right. But again, there's still, my, unknowledgeable impression was like, how does a 22-year-old do that accurate sniper shot thing? That seemed, and there's the Israel story, the background that is a conspiracy theory about a plane that leaves that turned off their radar. So I don't know if that'll get, if Do Dissidents covered that. I'm not sure.
Almost immediately after is
okay.
What I heard. Which,
yeah. So
we had that guy in here that was a pedophile. And he got out free, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no. I mean, it's it's worth mentioning.
It's not implausible.
Yeah, right.
It's a theory at this point, but you have to not believe what they're telling you because most of that's probably bullshit.
Well, the narrative now certainly quells the the radical left being this was I thought
it.
Well, I love this one. So this is a post that and Shiv Ramdas gives the best line ever. So here's all the groups at the top. Civil War. This is war. Civil War. And then Alex Cole says the next day, not a single this is Civil War post all day. What happened, MAGA? And then here's Shiv's response. Update. Civil War canceled due them,
okay?
Civil War canceled due to shooter being demographically uncooperative. So that's what happened, folks. Turns out it wasn't a person of color Muslim.
Well, facts don't matter once people get mad, though.
No, I know, but it was just interesting. The day it was Civil War, then that all.
I know. I could go the rest of my life and not hear that term again and be happy about it, though.
Love the phrase demographically uncooperative. That was
that's true.
perfect. So that's why I included that.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I don't like pushing those people because they're mad already.
But it would help to explain the story. It helped to explain the story of the tweet.
Yeah.
That was the point. So that way it was worth showing.
Well, and then the second Caitlin is like, all mainstream American political pundits are evil scumbags. Caitlin Johnstone, telling it like it is, right? I had no strong feelings about Charlie Kirk, especially to me, he was just one of the Empire's countless flying monkeys, and his role will be easily filled by the next flying monkey in line. My disdain toward him was of the ordinary blanket variety that I hold towards the lackeys of the most tyrannical and murderous power structure on our planet, regardless of their political affiliation.
Yeah.
The due distance was really good. It showed some stuff that I hadn't seen yet, and they just posted it, I think, yesterday. So it's, I mean, I know it's moving fast, but they had a really good segment, a couple of segments.
Did you want to show it?
Yeah, due dissidence. It's at, I think that's next. Maybe not. Yeah, go ahead.
Jugular vein, blood everywhere. Pretty horrible to see. There's no way someone untrained makes this shot and hits Charlie Kirk in the neck. The shooter could only make it by getting far enough on the roof to clear the overhang of the building between him and Kirk. He then had to shoot over a crowd of hundreds and into a tent. If the person on that rooftop was the shooter, which I think is a safe assumption to make, but we cannot state that as fact, of course, that is a professional assassin. To hit that shot from that distance, one bullet, that is a pro. That is a pro. I feel pretty confident in saying that. To make matters even more suspicious, Director Kash Patel, these two men standing behind Charlie Kirk look like they were giving hand signals right before the shot went off. You might want to look at it. God bless and thank you all for doing what you can to help save America. So let's take a look at this. This was right before, seconds before he gets shot. The camera cuts right before the shot was fired.
Berlusconi famously said,
"No, it's commercial. It's a commercial."
There have been in America over the last 10 years.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Look at them.
Yeah, you know what?
I think it's kind of weird.
Hang on.
I had an issue with this though, because I don't know. Would I be giving hand signals to a sniper sitting right behind? I don't know. I don't think that seems a little like, wouldn't they be off to the side? Maybe the angle's not fair. But
I think they're past him. I think they're behind him, but they're past him because look, Charlie is more forward.
Okay.
So like if you're looking at him, I think they are behind and over to the side a little.
Maybe so.
Just enough for a sniper. But keep playing, and then it goes to like the 9 minute or whatever. But keep playing up until whatever.
The shot came right at that question. I can't say this for sure. Obviously, just a theory. Perhaps that question was a cue to do it. We don't know, but that combined with the fact that look at the guy in the white here. I'll mute the sound so you can just look at the image. He's acting like a third base coach.
Yeah,
tipping the hat, hand over here, and then this guy too. What is he doing over here? What's the guy in the black doing? It looks like they're giving...
ball, but hang on, play the sound. Weren't they playing the Macarena?
Yeah, right. There was no Macarena there. No, that was his riff about gun violence. Look, I mean that's very strange. That's very strange to happen literally seconds before the shot rings out. I think that is extremely strange.
Yeah. I mean,
Edie, your sound is off now.
I'm just gonna play the next part. That's very important.
And then look even further. Look at this ground game he had built out. Look at all of these chapters of his organization that when he becomes a candidate, they get turned into campaign apparatus. He was tremendously influential. This is not Benny Johnson hawking hats outside of Alligator Alcatraz. This isn't Gunther Eagleman going viral with his tweets. This was a formidable political project in the making. So that's what you have to understand going into this.
Yeah.
This is not just some influencer. Okay. Here we go. On September 9th, Charlie Kirk conducted his final interview featuring Ben Shapiro as a guest. 10 minutes into the discussion, Kirk openly and objectively asked a question concerning his position on Israel.
Act against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border, on so like maybe we should also ask a question. Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question, that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned to ask a lot more critical questions over the last couple of years. So, Ben, some people would accuse.
Okay, so again.
Yeah, there is also supposedly he had said that he was afraid, that Kirk was afraid of.
He told a close friend, and he refused to go on the junket over there.
Oh, okay, yeah. And I get it.
This is the day before it happened, though. September 9th, didn't it happen on the 10th?
Yeah, I think it was the day before September 11th.
I mean, not saying it's true, but it definitely gives you pause.
Well, I mean, there is no doubt that the reason that I think it can stand as a valid conspiracy theory is because I
apologize about my video. I'm close to a parade route.
The reason that it does stand as a possible because of what Israel will do. They will stop at nothing. I mean, they just bombed Qatar. Country had never been bombed before. They will do anything and everything. And
why
so,
did they bomb them? Why did they bomb them? To kill the negotiator, because they want to keep doing what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, we'll cover that a little later, but yeah, right. Anything. So so that still stands. That still stands.
Next, but yeah.
Yeah, I would love. I mean, it's kind of long, but let's play. Bolson's commentary. It's good. He's got such fantastic analysis. So yeah, let's do the Shaheed.
Charlie Kirk, who got shot in Utah. Him getting shot in Utah makes him, I believe, American number 18,533 who got shot in the U.S. this year, shot and killed. And I think that there were 3 more people who were shot and killed in Colorado, just over the mountains, within hours of his shooting. And all the flags in America are going to fly half-mast, not for those 18,335 other victims, but they're going to fly half-mast for Charlie Kirk. That's just an observation. You can do with it what you will. I'll be honest. When I first heard that he had been shot, I made a joke about it on X, because frankly, I'm just as used to theatrics coming out of America as I am used to gun violence coming out of America. And I thought that theatrics seemed more likely in this case. But when I did learn that he died, I deleted my post. I deleted it out of respect, not for him, but for the severity and for the solemnity of the judgment that he has now proceeded to. Because everything that he ever said and everything that he ever did that harmed anyone, well, he's going to answer for that. He's going to answer for that right now in his meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the heaviness of that meeting is disturbing to any of us who believe in it. But we'll talk about it. Let's start with the obvious, okay? First, I'm not going to feign grief or feign mourning for this person. I know that's a hypocrisy that social etiquette demands at a moment like this, but we all know that he would certainly not grieve for us. He certainly would not mourn for us, just as he never grieved and he never mourned for the wanton slaughter of the Palestinians in Gaza. He never grieved for that. And for myself personally, as a Muslim and as a critic of Western so-called civilization, I know that Charlie Kirk himself would most likely have officially anyway considered me to be his enemy. And as far as I'm concerned, any man whose enemy mourns him when he dies, well, he wasn't doing his job. And I don't think it can be said about Charlie Kirk that he didn't do his job, which is to say that he never did anything and he never said anything in his public life that would make me mourn his passing, just as I hope that I will never say or do anything in my public life that would make my enemies grieve for my passing. They should be happy when I die. Enemies are disturbed by each other's presence, not by each other's absence. But let me also be crystal clear about this. It doesn't make me happy either. I neither mourn nor celebrate. Neither of those reactions is appropriate, in my opinion. Whoever pulled that trigger didn't do it for me and they didn't do it for you. I don't even see them as being on two different sides. They didn't silence Charlie Kirk. They amplified Charlie Kirk. The power structure never cared about that boy. They used him. And he's more useful to them now than he was the day before. He's more useful to them dead than he was alive. Listen, you don't defeat someone like this, someone like a Charlie Kirk, a tool like him, by letting that tool mold you into exactly what they want you to be. That killer didn't deliver justice. If you think they did, he didn't. He delivered to the power structure an even more enhanced weapon. He made a mediocre, but dangerous and polarizing figure, Charlie Kirk, into now an impeachable icon for the very fan base that he most likely despises. And he made criticism of Charlie Kirk's ideas. Now it's disrespect for the dead. This is not resistance. This is a gift. This is a gift to the very security state that he probably thought he was attacking. Now it's stupidity. Or maybe, as the conspiracy theories are already speculating, what actually happened was just a purge of an expendable asset to create a more powerful symbol. Well, they'll use his death. Oh, how they will use it. They will use his death to paint every dissenting voice, every cry for a more just world. They'll paint it with the same bloody brush. They're going to use his death to avoid once again ever having to look in the mirror. They're going to hold Charlie Kirk's body up as a shield against any examination of the society that created him and the society that created his killer, the society that they made and that they rule. And you didn't do anything now but strengthen their hold on that society. They're going to use his corpse as a pulpit to preach from. And you just validated all the lies that they're going to be preaching. You understand me? Because listen, the truth is the Charlie Kirks of the world are not the enemy. The enemy is the society, it's the system, it's the power structure, it's the so-called civilization that creates boys like Charlie Kirk. I call him a boy because that's what he is to me. I'm 54 years old. That's what he is to me, or that's what he was. And also because he presented a childish, simplistic cartoon portrait of America that only a young boy could ever believe in. He presented an America without complexity, without guilt, without the burden of their terrible history. Well, that's a seductive product. And America has always been an eager market for that sort of a product.
Yep.
He existed because of supply and demand. You demand and the power structure supplies. The killer and the killed are the products of the same sick society. Kirk and his killer and the other 18,535 victims and their killers. And wallahi, if you don't clock this reality, if you don't understand this reality, and if you let yourself get swept up in all the narratives and all the counter narratives, then you might just end up being like one of them on one side or the other side of that gun, because the machine is already spinning. The machine, that same machine that Charlie Kirk served so faithfully. They're spinning the narrative now. They're going to label him as a martyr for free speech, a victim of left-wing extremism. And they're going to use his death. They're going to use it to demand more surveillance, more censorship, more policing, more militarization of the police against their opponents, more police powers. They're going to use his blood to sanitize his ideology and to legitimize every poisonous thing that he ever said.
Yeah, there you go.
And some of you are out here cheering about what happened. Why, you're fools. Why, when you celebrate, all you do is elevate and strengthen their narrative. Charlie Kirk was not an outlier. He was a product. He was the logical output of a system that's designed to generate exactly what he was. Like I said, he didn't create the demand. The demand was already there. He just exploited it. He sold a fantasy, like I say, a fantasy where all of the problems of modern America, economic decay, economic despair, cultural displacement, and cultural unrest, political powerlessness, these are all not the inevitable results of late-stage capitalism and a dying empire. No, it's all the fault of immigrants. It's all the fault of minorities, of wokeism.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, thanks, Hazel. Yeah, so I think he places it. Oh, you don't hear it? Okay. Yeah, I think he frames it in the right context, that the system that creates these young folks that argue back and forth at it's the system that will keep that narrative going. And just as a way to transfer to our next segment, I just want to add this to the stage, and this is what Governor Newsom had to say. And you could read what's above, but I just want to read his quote. The best way to honor Charlie's memory is to continue his work, engage with each other across ideology through discourse, blah, 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 blah. So Mrs. Betty Bowers wrote, continue Charlie Kirk's work, like promoting the white supremacist great replacement theory or libeling LGBTQ people or promoting fascism. And again, I wanted to show that particular tweet as to reference what Shahid was saying about the system that creates. So the system that creates is hard at work presenting Gavin Newsom as the next candidate, presidential candidate for 2028. So Gavin is working hard to be that person. So that's the system that we're talking about.
And so is our very own J.B. Pritzker, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, somebody in the comments didn't like who was saying it. Nobody is perfect, and they put some rumors down. I don't know who the person was.
Oh, yeah, Shahid. No, I know he's controversial.
He is not the only one saying it. So, Chris Hedges, you can't say that about him.
I know he
Chris
does
Hedges
have a past.
saying the same damn thing.
Yes, this man does have a past. There's no doubt. Yes, he committed murder in his past. He's well aware of it. He's spoken it for decades, and it was a long time ago. I like what he has to say. And yeah, I'm not going to reject people. I mean, again, that was decades ago. And I don't agree with his religion either, but he has, I mean, if you got something to argue about what he said, bring it on. Okay. Bring it on. Mm-hmm. This is about what people say.
Yeah. Chris Hedges says he's got an article on Substack called The Martyrdom of Charlie Kirk. His murder has given the movement he represented, grounded in Christian nationalism, a martyr. Martyrs are the lifeblood of violent movements. Any flinching over the use of violence, any talk of compassion or understanding, any effort to mediate or discuss is a betrayal of the martyr and the cause the martyr died defending.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Go ahead and say something about Chris. I'll wait.
Well, no. It's, I mean, and again, that it's about what these folks are saying. And if you want to, reject, go ahead and reject the Green Party as a whole because of something I posted. That shit happens all the time here, all the time, right? So I'm a person, I got an opinion, and these are my opinions. We can have a little byline at the top. This is not the official opinion of the Green Party. Fine, whatever. But, again, if you got arguments with what he said, please bring them on. All right. I just want to add one other thing. And this is talks about, it just speaks to who he was as a person. So he made a big deal of Rittenhauser. Did I say that right? It's just Rittenhouse, who murdered 2 Black Lives Matter protesters. And he's glorifying that. So again, dying by the sword. He loved political violence when it fit his agenda. So, okay. So anyway, now we're moving on to the wonderful Gavin Newsom. And so, if you are preparing to run for office, to run for the presidency in the Democratic Party, you have to present to the people that control the system that you are as right-wing as they get, because what that allows, because they know that Lawrence O'Donnell, he had that famous video years ago saying, before he got out of MSNBC, and it was saying the Democrats could do anything they want because they know they've got a base behind them that will vote for them no matter what. So, and they can exploit it. So a person who's going to run knows they got to be damn right wing for them to be able to get that nomination. So here's wonderful Gavin Newsom, Hazel, if you want to. Oh, wait, no, this is mine. Or I'm telling you to do it. I have to do this. I'm sorry. Let me share this. Okay, here we go.
I mean, FOMAS. I flew out there. One of the first flights in. Had to get to Cyprus, could barely get out of Israel. Flew in to meet with Bibi, met with the president just weeks after October 7th. Sent a field hospital. Deep reverence for the state of Israel and Israeli people. My family married a lot of Jewish family. We can get into my history. And so there's a why there. I feel always connected to that country. I was proud to go out there and support country. I mean, it's terrorist attack, Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus, I mean, look at these children starving, and enough. I know we're in the final stages, and as we talk, they're negotiating these 10 hostages, and we're looking for temporary peace deal.
So yeah, we're negotiating with hostages and the temporary peace deal. So they go to Qatar and they bomb the place, and again, it's just, and so he is making a video here, folks, not for any of us, no, for the heads of the Democratic Party. That's who he's making this video for. He's saying, please pick me, please pick me. That's all that's about. So yeah,
Sorry,
the charming.
I had some folks in the room, so I didn't want to be rude, but that person that was commenting, if somebody is right about what they're saying, it's fair to post it. It's fair to talk about it. And you're also not thinking about how many deaths our government has caused around the world. What, 1 million Iraqis? Comparatively, these are people that have supposedly been voted in. How many deaths have they caused with their votes? They're removed from it. It's kind of like Luigi. Wasn't right for him to supposedly kill him. I mean, he's not been convicted, I don't think. But how many deaths did the United Healthcare CEO cause by doing this? Signing a piece of paper. Comparatively, not even close to the same. And yes, we do care about those things. But when somebody's making a good argument, it's fair to put it up.
And also, I mean, he's deep into his religion. So just like he will meet his maker too. He's fully aware of that. So yeah, and I don't get easily offended, BL. Yeah, right. Live in your dream world.
No, not offended. Just not buying your argument. That's all.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But you keep going, BL. You keep going. Okay.
So has anybody noticed how Newsom is starting to sound a little bit like Bill Clinton?
Especially, I didn't play the part at the beginning, but Edie had said that a few days ago, and I just kind of said, whatever. Oh my God, did he ever?
You remember what Bill Clinton's nickname was? Slick Willy.
Right.
And what did he bring us? NAFTA. Lost a bunch of jobs.
Oh God.
Made you work for welfare. Instead of fixing the system, they just punish. So this is your Democratic Party. We already know the Republicans don't care, right? They pretend. They don't even hardly pretend. They like you to punch down, because then or punch sideways. Then you won't look up the chain. But Democrats just, they just do it behind the scenes.
Well, they certainly, we've said that so many times. They enable the system that allows the Republicans to do their evil. They set up the system every time. They increased funding for ICE. Back when there was a Republican president, they were all yelling, defund ICE. As soon as the Democrat came in, Biden, they started funding it like crazy. And they stopped that talking point. That stopped real quick. So, yeah, no, they enable the system that allows Republicans to show their evil. No drama.
Obama dropped so many bombs that they ran out, and he deported more people than Trump.
Right.
Facts.
Oh, I even had a tweet that was Obama being, well, it wasn't a tweet at the time, but it was a comment he made, and it was that same thing. He's being, sarcastically saying, "Oh yeah, wait till I get my drones on you." I mean, he would brag about it. It was sick.
Wow, I don't don't know what Michael is talking about here, but it seems like he's agreeing. Anyway, yeah, so you want something different, you got to do something different. You know, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. We've been doing the same thing as a country over and over. Red or blue, blue or red. This one's bad, so vote for the other one. That one's bad, vote for the other one. Depends on what your ideology is. You know, you almost hate the other party. However, there's another choice right here, Green Party. We are the third largest party in the country. We were on the ballot for 95% of voters in 2024, despite everything they tried to do to make that not happen. We did it anyway.
Right.
And there was, in Illinois, there was an active writing campaign. I helped with that, made sure. So she got, I think it was like 32,000 votes, her and Butch. So you know how you help? You donate. You volunteer. So I got the little donation link up there. $26 donation challenge. If there's 10 of you, $260 would be very appreciated. And if you can make it monthly, it would greatly help, even if it's $5 a month. You know, we have a lot of work to do to fight what's going on. I don't want to see this country turn into a violent civil war. They're trying really hard to make that happen. The solution is to elect people that will enact policies that calms things down. You know, you make people's lives better. You make things work well. They don't have a leg to stand on.
No, I mean, it's true. I've thought about this quite a bit. You know, the term revolution comes up almost in every show. And the reality is, you know, you can actually do a quiet revolution. And that is if we were able to, you know, again, ballot access makes it very difficult. If we were able to have candidates in every congressional and Senate office, and you got 35% of the vote, you know, if it's a Republican, Democrat, Green race, 35% of the vote, I know that's a lot of people. But if we did that, that would be an absolute revolution. We would replace every politician in Congress and everything would change. Immediately, everything would change. These things are all enabled. Everything that we talk about is enabled by these politicians. All of it. All of the bombing that's been going on in Gaza. That's our politicians, folks, funding it. All of them. So if we got rid of them all, that would be a quiet revolution. And it's doable. I mean, our system allows it for it to happen. I mean, you know, I'm not necessarily against the other version. I don't know that I would do very well in it. I think I'd last a day, but yeah. So I mean, we can make change. We actually can make change. So I do want to cover the bombing of Qatar. Aaron Mate wrote a piece, and it's just basically the news story to cover it because it didn't.
Before you go, I was waiting for the band to pass by, but I was just going to say, you know, that it is just one tool in the box. We have boycotts, we have strikes, we have divestment, we have just organizing your community and creating mutual aid. You know,
sure. I'm just saying that
are as important as, you know, helping out somebody that is running for office. So
yeah.
With that said, I'm going to run some people across the bottom for you to go support, depending on where you're tuning in from. But go ahead.
Absolutely. Oh, and you can support from anywhere. No, I just wanted to say that, you know, it's the way, it's how people say, oh, electoral politics, and that doesn't, you know, that's gonna. I mean, it can have a revolutionary aspect to it. If everyone united, it could actually do the work of revolution. Absolutely could.
Especially if we surprise them.
Well, it'll be a surprise. Yeah.
Like avalanche of green.
Yeah.
It's a green avalanche.
Oh, it would. Mm-hmm. So, Hazel, if you could put up the Aaron Mate piece about the bombing of Qatar, and I'll just read a little bit of it. I think the important aspect about the story is just how you know, none of this stuff happens without the US. That's the key to all this. So In Qatar attack, Israel and U.S. again used diplomacy for aggression. Devoted to destroying Gaza, Israel attacks U.S. ally Qatar and exposes Hamas ceasefire talks as yet another ruse. And again, that's the important thing to mention here. Think of what Qatar thinks of the U.S. now, right? U.S. ally. The Israeli bombing of Hamas leaders in Doha, Qatar, came just 2 days after U.S. President Donald Trump issued what he called his last warning to the Palestinian group. The Israelis have accepted my term, Trump wrote on social media. It is time for Hamas to accept as well. Trump's term outlined a 100-word document demanding that Hamas release all remaining captives in exchange for a 60-day ceasefire. Oh, great. With no guarantee of a permanent end to Israel's mass murder rampage. During a pause, the U.S. proposal stated, President Trump will guarantee that the parties negotiate in good faith until an agreement is reached. And so and then they bombed the place where they were having the peace negotiation. And so, the important thing to realize about this is, again, will any country trust us? This happened right after Qatar gifted Trump a $400 million Boeing 747-8 luxury jet. Remember that whole stupid
which is
thing?
illegal.
Yeah, right. But I mean, so that's what they get in return. And, again, whenever Israel bombs, U.S. provides the intelligence. We provide all of the intelligence around. So we agreed to this. Trump agreed to bomb the country that just gave him a nice ass plane. I mean,
now we are bombing our allies.
Right. I mean,
cool. Not
yeah.
cool. And the U.S. is using diplomacy. I think they're using it to gain intelligence so they can find out where people are so they can kill them.
Well, yeah, they brought the Hamas folks over.
I mean, look what happened with Iran. They were in the middle of negotiations. And
right.
Then,
same exact thing.
Israel doesn't do much without the U.S. knowing about it. Come on.
They don't do anything without
and
it.
they bombed Iran in the middle of the negotiations. And this
right.
is, Qatar is an ally.
Yeah.
So we allow
it's
we are allowing our government to make us a pariah in the world.
Right.
We are going to have the blood on our hands just as much as Israel does because we are enabling all of it.
Yep.
When I say we, I don't mean me and you. It's our government, but we gotta get the government to do what we want. Gaza has exposed them for who they are.
Yep.
They don't care what we think. So.
No,
anyway,
not at all.
Keep going. I had a moment where I thought I could talk. So, here comes the siren again.
No. And let's see, what else did we want to cover? So the last section is called United Corporations of America, and it's how the corporations have taken over our country. I've spoken a lot about this. And I want to show this one has to do with Ukraine and how there always seems to be two things going on simultaneously with our U.S. government. The one is just the neocons, and they want war for any reason, anywhere, anything that they can get. That, of course, is directly tied into the military-industrial complex. So there's the side that wants the neocons just want to take over. The U.S. used to control the world. They want to try to continue that. It's not that anymore, but they are desperately trying to control the world, which means get rid of Russia, get rid of China. That's their goals.
And the why is so we can make a lot of money by stealing all their stuff.
Correct. Absolutely. And yes, the oil in Russia is certainly a goal, and to just destroy Russia so that we can be number one again in every, way. But there's always this side of it that is the privatization side, the military industrial complex. So I thought this was a really good take from Mike Benz, who I had never heard of before, but he has a government background in these areas that he's speaking of. And so this is a Glen Diesen video. So if you could start at Hazel at 2626.
over Ukraine from the 1990s onward, and arguably before that. They were all over the Orange Revolution. They were all over the Maidan Revolution. They were
This is
part of that
NED.
soup.
Yeah,
When
NED.
Victoria Nuland referred to the $5 billion of financial assistance given to Ukrainian civil society, Victoria Nuland made that speech while she was the Assistant Secretary for Europe and Eurasian Affairs in December 2013, at a speech in front of two signs for ExxonMobil and Chevron, which had each signed multi-billion-dollar partnership deals with Naftogaz, the state-owned gas company of Ukraine.
Yep.
That George Soros had been working for years in a tug of war against Vladimir Putin to try to privatize, so that the proceeds of the linchpin of Ukraine's economy, its gas architecture and gas transits, would be earned by Western energy companies that Soros was invested in, rather than by Russians in Gazprom. This is why the IMF and World Bank and U.S. State Department and U.K. Foreign Office red lines and terms always demand that Ukraine continue the path to privatization of its energy resources. Maybe a separate aside, but Ned effectively operates as a kind of private CIA for the Soros enterprise. And the State Department goes along with it because Soros is the single largest donor to the Democrat Party. It's not just Soros, it's also all of these Western energy firms. As I mentioned, ExxonMobil, Chevron. Chevron signed a $10 billion deal with Naftogaz. Shell, which signed another $10 billion deal with Naftogaz. British Petroleum, Norwegian LNG companies, Qatari LNG companies, which are partnered with British banks. The play was to knock out Russian natural gas. I call this the Grand Ukraine Energy play. If you cut out Russian natural gas, then the only other way to be able to get the gas into Ukraine and then leverage Ukraine's gas pipeline architecture is through LNG, which is much, much more expensive than natural gas, but you can sell it from the West. That means Houston, Texas, suddenly opens up a giant market to Ukraine, because without the natural gas from Russia, you now sell them essentially at diplomatic gunpoint through the sanctions regime, massively upmarked and expensive LNG from Houston, Texas, or from Norway, or from Qatar, or any of these places with giant gas fields. They can simply ship into Poland and use the new gas terminals, LNG terminals in Poland, to then direct them into Ukraine. This is part of why it was so important for the Biden foreign policy establishment to ensure that Poland remained under the thumb of this blob architecture within NATO, so that they maintained a permanent war footing against Russia, a sanctions footing against Russia, to not disturb the profits for Western oil companies or gas companies.
The body scanner reveals the brutal truth about your body that your regular scale will never tell you. For weeks.
You mentioned George Soros a few times. He wrote, I remember an article back in the 90s where he argued that NATO needed partnerships with Eastern European countries because the NATO countries, the Western Europeans and Americans, they were always apprehensive when there were too many body bags which began to pile up. But if they could mix Western weapons technologies with Eastern European meat or men, then
that's it, folks.
And this was effectively what they needed for NATO to be a big fighting force. But I did want to ask you, because George Soros is always mentioned as a very key player, indeed, as someone financing the Democratic Party and the open society. It's this NGOs which he operates. They seem to work very much hand in hand with the U.S. government. Why is George Soros so important in this larger use of NGOs to capture the civil society and media of various countries?
Well, it's because he's the single largest political donor to Democrat political campaigns. For example, in the last election cycle, he gave $100 million to Democrats. The second largest donor was only 40 million. So the Soros enterprise is 2.5 times more influential. He who pays the piper calls the tune. The biggest donors get to pick the personnel. These are favors that are owed by the president to their donors, lest they no longer get the donations in following election years. And so the Soros network gets to effectively pick the personnel who man and staff the State Department, the Central Intelligence Agency, the Pentagon, USAID, and this extends not just to the direct personnel there, but also within Congress. Mark Warner, for example, who is the Democrat head of the Senate Intelligence Committee, got over $14 million from Soros family members for his Senate races under the Friends of Mark Warner. And so this determines what Ned does. This determines what the CIA does. And what you see is this very, very deep relationship between the CIA and the hedge fund world. I don't look at the Open Society Institute as being an NGO. I look at it being simply the action arm of the George Soros Management Fund. Whenever you see a Soros protest or a Soros political push in Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Mongolia, you name it, you can bet that there is a Soros portfolio company that the Soros hedge fund is either long or short on, that Open Society Institute action is designed to maximize the profits of. Now,
and I think that was the point that was the most important point that I wanted to express, was just that whenever and he called him a Soros protest, which was really confusing. What he means is like a color revolution type protest, a protest that's getting funding in countries. It seems like it comes out of nowhere. It can be really violent for a weird reason. It seems something off. So that's what he's calling a Soros protest. And but the point that was new to me, and I think I will always remember, is that whenever you hear about those things, there's a hedge fund behind it. There's a hedge fund that's long or short on a trade, and they want to make some quick money, and that is the means. And like he said, so that determines what the CIA is going to be doing. And we lost Edie, so we're gonna end the show fairly quick. But yeah, I think that's why I wanted to show that clip specifically. And he goes on to talk about others. In this particular case, it was George Soros and Democrats. It isn't simply George Soros and Democrats. This is completely an equivalent on the Republican side of things. And sometimes it isn't even the difference between a Democrat and Republican thing. It is, that's where they get the bipartisan idea. Is in these kind of activities. So yeah, it's just important to remember that the origins of all these things come from the donors. That's why we say that it's the United Corporations of America, and the original definition of fascism was the corporate takeover of a country, and we have that in the US. We probably have that more than any other country. Maybe that's not true. Maybe they're all like this, but yeah, so that was the important part about that. Is so again, I think that that's why I can say, like, even though folks might get bored with electoral politics, that there is a revolutionary aspect to it, that because my God, the change that we can make if we got rid of these people who are simply going on, doing what their donors want, and their donors just want to make profits for their portfolios and shareholders, and no matter what the consequences. I mean, obviously you can see that the humanity is completely gone from these politicians, completely gone, when they can, I mean, yeah, Newsom feigned the children starving, but does not mention that on day one we could stop the bombs. We could stop the bombs going to Israel like that. He doesn't mention that part. Somehow he's like, oh yeah, I talked to Netanyahu, and I mean, we're like this, but I mean, it's gross, and that's what you're going to get, folks. That's what you're going to get from the Democratic party coming up to go against the Republicans, of which, again, the Republicans are completely evil. We could do a J.D. Vance story and his Palantir connections and the security state and the whole thing. So, I mean, it's two sides of the same coin. And that's the system we need to break. And so that's why Edie and I are here at the Green Party. That's what we're trying to do. We have a long road ahead. Because we happen to be in Illinois. Now, we try to make this Green live stream kind of a national focus, not ignoring Illinois, but just to help. I think Kalia, who's been our guest host for a couple of shows, has really been pushing, and I think it's a great idea. She wants green media out there. So we want Green Party to have more of a presence with media and just to help the Green Party's presence in general. And my radical viewpoints might hurt the Green Party a little, but I think it's important in the overall picture that we get more of the idea to people that we actually can change things through this method. Now, like I said, we're in Illinois. We're in probably the worst state with, I'd say, New York and Illinois are probably the two worst states in terms of what the state politicians have done over time to make it as difficult as possible. The latest thing that they did, they snuck this in a bill. It was some bill to help medical funding, and they stuck this in. So they have moved the petitioning period up a month. So we lose June, and that's a big month for being out on the streets and getting people to sign your petition. So again, that was an active way to try to destroy independent parties. So we've got a rough road ahead. We're really working. We're still putting together candidates for the statewide offices. What we can do, I've said this before, but it's just, again, this is specific to Illinois to end the show, that we can put 7 candidates for the statewide offices on one petition, so that we basically have 7 campaigns out there. We have to reach 25,000. The Democrats will absolutely be challenging us in court on those signatures. And it's kind of a brutal process because all they have to do is just go in and say, I object to this one, this one, this one. And you see it when they do the objections. It's just random. They're just, and then our lawyers have to go in and prove that these are valid petitions. So it's a rough road. So we kind of try to get twice as many signatures if we can. So folks, if you're interested in helping out independent third parties and you think the Green Party is the right one, there are others out there. I particularly think it's the right one because it's very open-ended. It certainly comes from a humanist standpoint. Socialist is humanist. And so I think the Green Party is the choice. And so if you want to get involved, you can reach us. We do a Zoom every Thursday if you want to get involved in Illinois. And that's a Zoom at 8 p.m. Central Time every Thursday evening. And you find that link to the Zoom on the website, ilgp.org/events. And we'll have that there. And you can help. We're going to need a lot of people out there petitioning, getting signatures, and helping to get us on the ballot. And then that's step 1. Step 2 is to become an established party. You have to get 5% of the governor's race. It's brutal. It's a brutal one. But we've got some great candidates. Edie Ardell is lieutenant governor and is in the running for lieutenant governor in the Green Party. We haven't endorsed folks yet. That's kind of, we're in the process. But it looks like Edie Ardell will be lieutenant governor candidate for the Green Party. And she does wonderful work in Carbondale, and she had to leave. She was out at the festival. They do a fantastic job out there promoting the Green Party. They have tables at every single event. They're doing great work. So I'm in Chicago, and and you can also just contact me if you want to get involved in that process locally in Chicago. You can, my email is scott.free@ilgp.org. And so you can help out because we're going to need a lot of help. Now, that petitioning is not until February of 2026, but we need to get organized. We need to have a big team ready. And yeah, so those are the ways that you can get involved in Illinois. And as you've been seeing scrolling on the screen, we have all the candidates, not all of them, but just folks that actually have been on our show. And we need to even add more. Just so there's so many different ways you can help. And also, folks, just be out there on social media promoting the Green Party through comments, likes, shares. That's another way that will really help us out. And so thanks, everybody. I really appreciate that you stuck with me. And I didn't do very well on the comments. That's usually I'm putting up comments. I feel terrible about that. But thanks, everybody, for coming. And as Alexandria says, I hope everyone is having a lovely day. Alexandria, we didn't put a link down below. We just mentioned you that you're running for District 10. So we will get that improved so to have a link to your webpage. And so, and as Joe Harrington says, persistence. So that's the key, folks. And so thanks, everybody. And we're fine with the negative comments too. You know, it gets me going right in the morning. So thanks, everybody. And we will see you on Wednesday night. We will have a guest. I'm not sure who we have yet, because I don't plan ahead. But yeah, we always have a great time Wednesday night with our guests. And so we will see you then, 7 p.m. Central Time. So bye, everyone. Thanks so much. An uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising.